Episode Part 1 G-Team Rescuing Katherine in London, England from Interpol, the FBI, and the Devil's Cult of Baal. We had escaped the Mid-Atlantic aircraft refueling carrier, and we left its workers-turned-bounty hunters behind. Tragically, either dead or critically wounded, or maimed, likely for life. Fortunately, though, most people on the refueling station ran and they hid. And so they survived. Only the greedy, willing to kill workers that so naively attacked us that, well, they lost their lives. In the end, like I said, well, we escaped the refueling carrier of nightmares. We were headed to London, England, where we intended to rescue my wife, Katherine, from an Interpol holding, confinement, and interrogation center that was located in downtown London, not far from many of the high-profile government buildings. You may wonder, why is my wife, Katherine, being held by the international police, by the Interpol? You may wonder, what did this woman, my wife, do that landed her in the crosshairs of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, and the international police, again, the Interpol? Well, officially, Katherine is being held as a suspected terrorist, according to the FBI and the Interpol. But, well, let's talk about the unofficial reason as to why Katherine is being held in confinement and being processed to be charged as a terrorist. Well, Katherine is bait to lure me and the G-Team to come and rescue her in a controlled, set-up environment. They're using Katherine to lure us into their trap, intended to capture or kill us. But in all cases, they intend minimally to make the G-Team gone. They wanted us dead and forgotten. They wanted us to be heard from no more. Katherine is being held in confinement, interrogated, and soon to be imprisoned forever, all simply because she was married to me. Let's talk about our path forward rather than the past. We had a highly destructive plan. Dare I say, we had a highly explosive plan to enter London and rescue Katherine. Well, first we planned to land north of England and south of Sheffield in a rural area called the Midlands in the United Kingdom, the UK. Sarah explained, "I've used our Knights Templar front, its facade, that operates the law firm Midnight & Associates. Well, I used the law firm to communicate indirectly with the Templar caretaker agents that oversee and manage a farm that is of course also owned by the Knights Templar, along with its vast resources. The farm is conveniently located in the Midlands. It is perhaps an hour drive from downtown London. The caretakers will obtain 3 London taxicabs, and they will drive us as their passengers into downtown London, staggered apart by half an hour, to reduce the odds of our being noticed. And once there, we will be disguised in burqas, per plan. Each taxi team will disperse, with each of them executing their part of the collective rescue plan of Katherine." Sarah further explained, "I have requested that the Midlands caretakers purchase many extra burqas for us in many sizes, thereby ensuring that every one of us have at least a few burqas of appropriate sizes that are large enough to hide our normal gear and our clothing, hidden beneath the burqa's folds, without any obvious or odd bulges." Yeah, we plan to wear our normal bulletproof clothing hidden inside our burqas. We all wore bulletproof-lined undershirts and undergarments. And of course, Taylor and Sarah also wore bulletproof-lined leggings and tops. And finally, we planned, of course, to bring firearms, but we also needed explosives as a pivotal part of the plan. We had plenty of firearms and toys on board, but we did not have enough explosives for our mission. And our C4 packs and grenades would never deliver the massive and huge explosions that we needed. So, discussing possible solutions, Silver stepped up with his own solution. I suppose it was ironic fortune that we had an international criminal syndicate crime lord boss, Silver, who incidentally was also my father, and who was now on our team, on the G team. Well, as it turned out, Silver had access, through his connections, to acquire what he called molecularly concentrated CL20 high explosives. And of course, they would all have pager or cell phone, SMS texting remote detonatable triggers. It was an odd blessing of sorts that Silver's Caribbean and West Indies criminal syndicate apparently had access to a lot of weapons, armaments, and explosives. And they could deliver them anywhere in the world via covert couriers. You might wonder, what exactly is CL20? Well, Silver's arm dealer and weapon knowledge proved highly useful, as Silver provided us with an explanation of what CL20 was. He explained, "Understand this. Molecularly concentrated CL20 is equivalent to many dozens of C4 packs, all packed into a single, same-sized bomb pack." Silver almost proudly continued and joked, "You know, some people have said that CL20 is the most powerful explosive in the world, period. Short of a nuclear bomb, of course," Silver smirked. Katie, clearly biting her tongue, did not approve of our explosive plan using CL20. But she was committed to the plan, and as a dutiful team member, she accepted her role in the plan. But it did not mean that she had to like it. Katie looked sad and simply verbalized, "This could go very badly, very wrong quickly. I'll do my job, but I am not happy about it." Well, we needed a lot of CL20 explosives, despite their power, for our mission. And so Silver ordered from his criminal network hundreds, if not, I swear, thousands, of molecularly concentrated explosive CL20 packs with detonators. The bomb packs were to be delivered via a clandestine courier network that Silver apparently used for his international deliveries. The courier would hand deliver at least 400 CL20 bombs. Hopefully, they would deliver at least 2,000 bombs. We needed so many bomb packs that our bombardiers had to wear backpacks full of the super powerful CL20 explosives. Well, back to our plan. With backpacks full of bombs, we planned to place the explosives throughout London to draw out law enforcement and thereby remove their presence from the Interpol holding center. And thus they would no longer be guarding Katherine or be on watch for us and our arrival to rescue her. And once the bombs went off and law enforcement was drawn out to investigate, we would go in full assault, Terminator style. We would go in with maximum force right through the front door of the holding center. And finally, we would rescue Katherine and return to the caretaker, pick up location, and head back to the Midlands. And we would be on our way once again to Prague in the Czech Republic, where we planned to infiltrate Prion Biotech, to enter its underground vaults, where they allegedly had stored the Hammer of Destruction. Katie could not hold it in anymore. Her anxiety of hurting innocent people was just too much to bear. Katie had to say something, in remorse and frustration, and in evident sorrowful consternation. Katie gulped for air as she began to speak, if not plead. "We can't just go in guns a-blazing and bombs blasting everywhere. People will get hurt. They might even die. We need a plan that doesn't put so many people at risk, okay? So please, can we please make a plan that avoids unnecessary death and destruction? Please," she pleaded. Silver, oddly and very surprisingly, looked sympathetic towards Katie. He spoke softly, or at least as softly as Silver seems able or willing to be. Katie, I know it's tough. It's really tough to see people get hurt and even die. But life and death, they're part of our journey in the world. Death is not the end. It's just a transition point for all of us. Let's be blunt here. When people die, it makes no difference if they died because of something they did, or if they died as a result of something we did. They're dead. Silver furthered, when people die and leave this mortal coil, they will be judged, and they will move on to the destiny that they made for themselves through their lifelong collective actions. So their fate is of their making, even if their end may have been hastened, quickened by us. Silver continued, it may sound harsh and insensitive, but some people have to die as part of the bigger picture. It is their role to die, to serve their greater purpose. And when they die, if they were good, they get to go to their happy place in heaven. Or they get to go to their unhappy place in hell. Wherever they earned to be, according to their actions in life, they just got to their end sooner than they expected. But if they were bad, they will get their just damnation and suffering, also that much sooner. But we can be satisfied in knowing that their wicked selves are gone and out of this world sooner than otherwise. Silver concluded, so you see, Katie, even if people are hurt or killed in the path of our mission, we must accept that they were unfortunate but necessary casualties for the success of our mission, and ultimately for our own survival. Bob looked perturbed and disturbed, and he glared at Silver. Bob exclaimed, "That's rich coming from a lifelong career criminal and syndicate crime boss. You're saying, basically, that either people that were hurt or killed had it coming because of their misdeeds in life, making their dying okay. Or it was likewise okay if they died because they were serving a greater purpose, even if they didn't know it. And so again, their dying is just okay. Their death doesn't matter, as decreed by the mighty crime lord Silver Seaborn." Bob continued, "It seems to me that you're declaring that nothing we do has consequences to us, including when innocent people die." Bob declared in a judgmental disgust, "Bad things happen, right? Stuff hits the proverbial fan. But if we caused it, if we caused bad things to happen, then we should own it. And we need to learn from it, so we can avoid doing it again. We cannot repeat our mistakes," Bob insisted. "But in no case can we just excuse ourselves from our responsibility and our role in people's losses, their harms, and even their deaths. We cannot shirk our integrity or our culpability by burying our heads in the sand and blindly denying any of our possible missteps. It's wrong." Sarah interjected, "Actually, Bob, anyone, despite their sin, who is deeply, truly repentant for their transgression or transgressions, and seek forgiveness from God and Jesus, they will be forgiven." Sarah continued, "So Bob, we should absolutely ourselves seek to minimize collateral damage with people and property alike. But as Taylor has said many times, we are in a war against hell and its legions of cultists, demons, and dark supernatural forces. We are in a war against hell's puppets and hell's agents of evil here on Earth in our mortal plane. Therefore, we cannot allow worries over collateral damage to limit our mission for God. Sarah concluded, for us, that means if we are truly sincere in our repentance and we seek forgiveness from God and Jesus, then we shall be forgiven. Have faith that we are doing our part in God's plan. Have faith. Taylor joined the emotional row over allegedly justified casualties of innocent people. Look, we are in a war against the greatest evil of all. We are in a war against the devil and are fighting against hell itself with its hordes of demons and monstrosities and its dark celestial forces. With serious eyes, Taylor added, look, we have no idea what we are up against when it comes to demons, hell, and the devil. We still don't know much at all about the devil's cult of Baal even. Taylor closed with a grim message. So, the last thing we need is to second guess ourselves, because in those doubting moments, we will make ourselves vulnerable. We will expose ourselves by granting a window of opportunity to our enemies to strike us down and thereby immediately end our mission for God and end our lives. Taylor declared, put more directly, if we worry about everything that we do, then in those deadly, terribly unwise moments of pause, we will be killed. And in dying, we will fail God, and we will fail our mission. So, agreed, let's strive to be responsible and safe. But we must never, ever let any worries or doubts cloud or limit our actions when on mission. We must always know that we are doing the right thing right here, right now, in every moment when we are on a mission. It seemed that everyone had a lot to say. Sarah spoke up once more and added her additional cliché 2 cents of insight. Sarah comforted Katie. We're not out to be wild and crazy, but sometimes some things we do may seem just that, to be wild and crazy. But remember, everything is part of God's plan. And remember, even things that seem unfair or unjust or unrighteous are still part of God's plan. Things that seem to be needless loss, suffering, and death all have a role and a purpose in God's plan. Sarah concluded, we are only servants in God's plan. We are mere cogs, mere gears in God's celestial engine of reality. We serve God. Katie was seemingly beaten down by the relentless opinions and declarations from everyone else, that she just gave up, and she exhaled a big, loud, powerful, and very much sorrowful sigh. Katie said, okay, I get it. We're justified. We're righteous, so don't fret or worry. There's no hell for the righteous. Yeah, I get it. Put a blindfold on and follow the mission. Well, I won't go blind or be ignorant, even if it means that I see and I know what horrors that I may be a party or contributor to. Well, if I do bad things, I need to know it and act accordingly. It's the only truly right thing to do, Katie insisted. I had heard enough, as the arguments weren't leading to any conclusion. They rather seemed to lead to more consternation, sorrow, and frustration. So I spoke up. Okay, this is clearly a hot and very sensitive topic. Maybe we can all just agree on a few things here. Like, we don't want to hurt anyone, but we will, if we must, harm, kill, and destroy, to protect ourselves and to succeed in our mission for God. Simply, each and every one of us must be prepared to do whatever must be done to survive and to succeed. I continued. Katie is right. We should be very careful with where and when we use explosives. We should precede the big blast with smaller explosions to warn people to get away from the area immediately, ASAP. I recommended we need crowds of people around when we're traveling so we can use the crowds to blend in and hide. But we don't want those crowds of people around when our bombs go off. Therefore, I think, we should operate during the day, but when most people are not exposed outside, thereby being put at greater risks. I think we should target bomb detonations maybe around 3 p.m. London time, when most people will be at work inside buildings, and therefore we can blow things up with less risk of hurting or killing people. So, does an afternoon blast party work for everyone? I asked. We maximized our time on the plane. We sharpened our knives, we cleaned and oiled our firearms, we studied and practiced with fake bombs, handling and placing our planned CL-20 special high explosives, and finally we programmed cell phone SMS remote bomb detonators. Finishing our prep, we handed out synchronized Knights Templar KT communication comms watches. And one final trick up our sleeves, as it were, Tiny would remain in the plane and listen to police scanners and radio frequencies using a Starlink satellite-linked Knights Templar app that listened directly to government and police communications. Tiny would relay any pertinent law enforcement actions and information to us while we were on mission in London. Well, we were finally armed up, ready, with communications and a plan. We were ready to start our mission to rescue Katherine. To arrive undetected, Tiny flew close to the ocean, literally skimming and sinking often beneath the waves as he did. And he did the same sort of thing over land. As he flew so low, it seemed like he might just hit a tree. But we never did hit anything. Tiny skillfully flew very dangerously as we traveled. Tiny navigated us to a farm in the UK Midlands as planned. He descended for a rapid landing on one of the farm's empty crop fields. And once landed, Tiny taxied us to a barn that would hide our cargo plane.